So thanks so much for coming out tonight. My name is Devor. I'm a candidate for City Commissioner. Raise your hand if you know what the City Commissioner's office is, if you're really familiar with it. So let it be known that no one really raised their hand except the one person from my team. So I will tell you what this office is. I will help you understand it better, how to hold it accountable. I believe this office could be not just the most powerful office in Philadelphia, but the most powerful office in Pennsylvania too, which is really exciting. And then I'll talk to you a little bit about what I hope to bring to the role. I moved to Philadelphia 17 years ago. Prior to that, I was living in North Jersey. I was raised by my mom and my grandmother. And although they both worked incredibly hard, they didn't always have the right tools and resources needed to help me to succeed. I actually almost failed out of high school. I was living up to other people's expectations of me, poor kid from a broken home under very little supervision. And it wasn't until my senior year that I took a civics class and I found my voice. I became passionate about activism. I got involved with my community and my neighborhood for the first time. I became a better student, and I was able to get accepted into the University of the Arts, which brought me to Philadelphia in 2002. And moving to Philadelphia changed absolutely everything for me. For the first time in my life, I had mentors and advocates. I met my husband here. We're raising our 6-year-old daughter, who goes to our great local public school. And I was able to launch my career civically. I'm a block captain, I'm a committee person, I work my polls on election day, and I'm a public school and voting rights activist. And I was able to launch professionally as well. I'm a marketing and communications professional, and I've worked both in the for and nonprofit sectors. And so when I see an office like the City Commissioner's office, one that has very little visibility, very little accountability, but one with so much power and potential to help every single Philadelphian find their voice, that really speaks to me, and that's why I decided to run for this office. So the City Commissioner's office oversees all elections in Philadelphia. It's responsible for making sure election day is up and running, the polls are fully staffed, votes are secure. It's responsible for protecting voter rights and making sure every eligible Philadelphian can vote without incident. And it's ultimately responsible, and I think best positioned, to increase voter turnout. Now that's important locally because we want to have more competitive elections so our representatives better reflect our values, but it's also connected to the state too. We have enough people in Philadelphia that if we increase voter turnout, we can win state and national elections for Pennsylvania. And with Pennsylvania being a swing state, that can be incredibly powerful. So, hi, how you doing? Thanks for coming. And so that's what I want to do. I want to make Philadelphia the voting powerhouse that we deserve to be. So I hope to bring my experience doing all the jobs that interact with the Commissioner's office. We have a high vacancy rate of poll workers that we need to staff. We need to have better trainings for those poll workers, especially now that we have this new voting system that will be put into place. We need to make this office transparent, because as I mentioned, we have new voting systems coming, and that was done in a very closed, backdoor kind of way. People say, election integrity experts across the country say that we pick the worst, most expensive machines, and so we need to rectify that, and we need to make sure that people understand what's coming into our polls on November 2019, which is soon. I also want to make it easier to run for office. I'm a first-time candidate, and it's really hard. Ballot positions are pulled out of a coffee can, and petitions are challenged. And I think everyone deserves the right to ballot access if they truly worked hard. And so I want to make sure that everyone has the equal opportunity to run and serve their city if they want to. And I want to make sure that every Philadelphian that is eligible to vote knows that they are. I think there's a lot of gray area about people with criminal convictions, those affected by homelessness, limited English proficiency. People need to know that they are eligible to vote and have access to that information. And I also just want to reconnect people to the process. I think it's hard to vote in Philly. I think that's why a lot of people don't vote. Do you guys vote for judges? It's hard it's really hard to vote for judges, right?
Most important vote you can make.
Yes, but it's a complicated process and one that's not easily explained.
And the questions are kind of
the charter
sometimes.
Exactly. The charter questions are really complex. Sometimes just even finding out where your polling place is, especially after it's moved, can be really difficult. I was just at a meeting for the city commissioners, and they just now, 7 weeks before the election, announced which polling places are moved. So they just have to start the process now of notifying people. So there's so much opportunity here to make our elections more efficient, run smoother, to bring more people out and include them in the process, and to make people truly understand and be connected to who they're voting for and why. If we do this, we can increase voter turnout, and we can make Philadelphia incredibly powerful. I want to make it so if a candidate wants to win Pennsylvania, they have to come through Philly and talk to us first. And I really believe that we can do that with this office. And under my leadership, I hope to bring my background and expertise in being a community leader, marketing professional, and just someone who understands and has the vision to be innovative in this position that most Philadelphians don't even know about. This is an opportunity to rise to the occasion and revolutionize the way we vote in Philadelphia, and we could be the national model. So my name is Jen Devor. I'm running for city commissioner. Happy to answer any questions, and I hope to earn your vote in May.
It just seems that around local elections, Philadelphia is really opaque in terms of the process, as well as people seem to be, I guess, stealing. The
There's
implications of the reputation of Philadelphia civically is that people steal elections. And I don't know if that discourages people from voting or it influences Harrisburg and how they treat Philadelphia when it comes to elections. I guess I just wanted to know what your opinion that is, and if you were elected commissioner, what would you do about it?
Yeah, and I think, everything you said, I've experienced as a voter, and then I've really experienced even more intensely as a candidate. That does prevent people from coming out to the polls. If you think that your vote doesn't matter, what's the point? So we need to reestablish trust. And I think that does relate to how we're treated in Harrisburg, because if we're not bringing the votes that we could be, then we're not going to get the same respect and services and funding than if we had higher turnout. So as city commissioner, I want to make sure that we have a completely clear and transparent process. We have regularly scheduled meetings. We're using the office as a public and inviting space to draw people in. A lot of this information is out there, but you have to seek it out, and I think that we need to make it more accessible. To your point about voter intimidation and electioneering, that is a problem on election day, and it happens all across the city, and you always hear reports of it. We need to formalize how those incidents are reported, and we need to train poll workers on how to properly identify and resolve those issues on site. We need to talk to voters to let them know if they see something. Not only do you have to say something, but you have to say it in a specific way. And so let's have a format, let's have a form that you download or that the poll workers have so you can properly report these incidences.
There's no protocols in Philadelphia to deal with irregularities in the polling place on election day?
You got to call the DA's office.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. So we need to have better customer service training for poll workers, and we need to let voters know that voter intimidation and electioneering is not acceptable, and here's how to properly report it, so that we can have incidences recorded and brought to
Can I
justice.
suggest something?
Yeah.
That you look at how Bucks County does it?
Yeah.
Okay, because, and I'm embarrassed for not knowing really what you did, because I was a judge of Middletown Lower 11 up in Bucks County.
Yeah.
90 to 94. And I should know what the neighboring counties' election system, but we do it quite a bit different.
Yeah.
I'm Philadelphia now, so I shouldn't say we, but they did it quite a bit different. And there is a set protocol. The judge of elections is the absolute authority in the polling place.
Yeah.
If there's an irregularity, he can call the constable and have that addressed, even if the person has to be arrested.
Well,
We
because
don't
we
put up
processes
with any crap there.
that process is in
10
place.
feet from the polling place, no campaign.
But here's the
know?
challenges. A lot of I forget what the statistic is offhand. Maybe 28% of polling places as of last summer didn't have permanently filled judge of election seats. Mm-hmm. And when you do have judges of elections, it's all about the training too, and making sure that we go through that protocol. At the is anyone here a poll worker? Right? The trainings leave a lot to be desired, I think.
It does. It's just a
Yeah.
real across the board. And if you're not familiar with the polling place and the procedures, then if you're sitting there, you're lost.
Yes, exactly. And we have so many people that are either new to Philadelphia or new to civic engagement, woke up in November 2016 and said, how do I get involved? Working your polls on election day is an awesome way to do that. And so we need to be promoting and advertising these opportunities, have better trainings, and then I think that will lead to your challenge of how intimidating and corrupt that the system can be.
On corruption. So as a new resident of the city, I know a lot of people here have been in their positions for ages.
Yeah, there's no term limits.
There's no term limits, and I feel that a lot of the corruption that I hear from other residents is tied to the fact that there are no term limits, so someone can be in power as long as they want to. They can kind of have like full reign and authority as the person in that seat. And it just seems, I guess, if you were commissioner, would you support term limits for the council? I don't know if it's something that you can advocate for in your position, but it just seems as if it intimidates people from running, even if they have good ideas, if they're a better representative of their community. It would break up sort of the chains of power that a lot of incumbents have, and I think it would just bring fresh ideas and voices to the city.
I think term limits would change a lot of things, and I'm in favor of that. Now, from the commissioner's office, it's an interesting role because we can't push for legislation, but we can certainly advocate, and we can provide any data and research from voting that may show that this is a systematic issue. You used the word that is tied to all of this, and you said losing power. So when you're an elected official, you're a representative. You should be serving people and ruling based on your constituency. But I think when you get to certain politicians, they're afraid of losing power. If you're afraid of losing an election, then you work really hard on your campaign and you get out the vote and you become a great candidate. If you're afraid of losing power, that's a different story. And that's where you get mean-spirited politics, the ballot challenges, people become aggressive and desperate. And I think that's a big difference. But, it was brought up to council recently. Councilman Dom put on the floor the idea of term limits. And it was term limits just for new people coming in. So everyone that would be making this decision wouldn't even be affected by it, and it was still shot down. And somebody responded, well, what do you mean term limits? We have elections, that's term limits. But that's not the case, because if you're an elected official, you're building your war chest, you're fundraising, you're making political connections. People are scared to come out for somebody new that are running, because if they lose, then there might be consequences. So you're right, absolutely. It's preventative of the democratic process.
We have institutionalized corruption in Philadelphia. We have corruption written into law in Philadelphia.
So I say no more status quo, no more Philly shrug. This is just the way it is. We have to start thinking differently. And these are great questions, and it shows that Philadelphians are ready for this change. And we have an awesome opportunity on May 21st to put a bunch of really great new progressive people into office. And that's really exciting and powerful. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks.